All right, welcome to the first short Camtasia video. We'll number this 1.1 and date it October 21st, although whenever you're watching it, that's fine. Today in class, we did the old school demonstration of how to tear into data, where I showed you that piece of paper that was a taped together really big Excel file of executive compensation. One note, all the data we're going to be looking at is real from Standard and Poor's, and that's a benefit. We'll get to this executive comp data in a minute, but first we're going to look at performance data. And so you're probably asking yourself, where should I start? And a good place to start is with what you know. All right, so a good thing to do is think about what you know. And at this point, you already have some data to look at. We have the super majors data file. This is like the third flavor of this file. This one is in numbers. I posted one in Excel and lost the headings and then posted a second one. Anyways, one thing to do is make the file look appealing, and so it takes 10 seconds. Do something like color in, see this area is green for BP, this area is blue for Exxon. It's just easier to see the data that way. Then just look at it. What do you notice? Here's something we talked about in class today. There are two oil and gas methods. BP changed method, we'll take a look at that, but that's really not the focal point. Take a look at assets. Exxon in blue is the biggest, but barely over BP during this 2005 through 2010 period, which is the most recent annual report that we have. Then Chevron, then ConocoPhillips, a little bit smaller. So just see what you can notice. All right, and then think, hey, that's still a lot of data to look at. All right, so here's an extension, and I pre-did this one, but think about doing something like this in Excel. All right, what we know about the E&P companies so far, based on what we've talked about and read, is that they all take a long-term perspective. All right, and then think about what we know about income. It's 1 year, somewhat arbitrary other than the calendar last year, and so that's how often companies put out an annual report. Right? While it's sensible, you probably want a longer view of an oil and gas company to really track performance. All right, so down here we have the same companies where we're doing 3-year and 5-year averages, which will give us some information, right? So when you move from a 5-year average to a 3-year average, you're kind of focusing on the newer with the 3-year. And so you don't have to start there. It could be 3-year, 6-year, but for whatever reason, a lot of planning takes place at 3 and 5 years. So that's somewhat of an arbitrary choice. But notice what it does for you. It limits the data set, all right? Kind of administrative notes, we're going to do the drop and drag, which everyone knows how to do, but when you're going to drop and drag formulas, double check them, right? So 3-year, 5-year, 3-year, 5-year, 3-year, 5-year. Before you do the drop and drag, make sure that you have the right time frames. And then this works the same in Excel and numbers. Drag it out, right? And you can keep dragging it. And this particular file has a lot of data in it that we might not look at all of it, but it illustrates the concept of drop and drag. All right, so we'll end this segment with a story about what do you know. All right, so think about the things we've discussed so far in class, like ROE and PE ratios, and then think about what we did with PE ratios I'll shut down all this while I finish this long story. PE ratios bounce around because of annual income. So what we'd like to do is get a PE ratio maybe with a 3-year average income or a 5-year average income. It'll tell you something a little bit more stable. So that's our first segment of Camtasia class. Think about how you're going to explore data and check back for version 1.2. Later.